Give me a second. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We are very grateful for you joining us in today's Srimadbhagavatam. We are collecting gems from Srimadbhagavatam and sharing those gems, and I'll be presenting these two verses. They seem like in complete contrast with each other, but they are very awakening to our soul. They are very enlightening to our soul. Hare Krishna. So I'll quickly share my screen and
So I believe here everyone is familiar that this is the format for all Srimad Bhagavatam classes. We'll start with the prayers and then Guru Pranati around the verses and then translation and purport. Prabhuji, you can determine if purports are too lengthy. Maybe you can just have the translations and then share with us all the interesting stuff you have around these verses from Srila Prabhupada's purports, the pastimes of the Lord, some humor, some important teachings from other Vaishnavacharyas. We are looking forward to it. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Devi. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us in the recitation of the invocation mantras for the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyet Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanaha Hridayantahstohya Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhasatam Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Shloke Bhaktir Bhavti Nashtiki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us in the recitation of these verses. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 29, verse 13. Saloke Shashti Samipya Sarupya Ekatvam Apyauta Diyamanam Na Grahananti Vina Mat Sevanam Janaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A pure devotee does not accept any kind of liberation, salokya, shashti, samipya, sarupya, and ekatva, even though they are offered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. Lord Chaitanya teaches us how to execute pure devotional service out of spontaneous love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Shikshashtaka, he prays to the Lord, O Lord, I do not wish to gain from you any wealth, nor do I wish to have a beautiful wife, nor do I wish to have many followers. All I want from you is that in life after life I may remain a pure devotee at your lotus feet. There is a similarity between the prayers of Lord Chaitanya and the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya prays in life after life, indicating that a devotee does not even desire the cessation of birth and death. The yogis and empiric philosophers desire cessation of the process of birth and death, but a devotee is satisfied even to remain in this material world and execute devotional service. It is clearly stated herein that a pure devotee does not desire ekatva, oneness with the Supreme Lord, as desired by the impersonalist, the mental speculators, and the meditators. To become one with the Supreme Lord is beyond the dream of a pure devotee. Sometimes he may accept promotion to the Vaikuntha planets to serve the Lord there, but he will never accept merging into the Brahman effulgence, which he considers worse than hellish. Such ekatva or merging into the effulgence of the Supreme Lord is called kevalya, but the happiness derived from kevalya is considered by the pure devotee to be hellish. The devotee is so fond of rendering service to the Supreme Lord that the 5 kinds of liberations are not important to him. If one is engaged in pure transcendental loving service to the Lord, it is understood that he has already achieved the 5 kinds of liberation. When a devotee is promoted to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, he receives four kinds of facilities. One of these is Salokya, living on the same planet as the Supreme Personality. The Supreme Person, in his different planetary expansions, lives on innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and the chief planet is Krishna Loka. Just as within the material universe, the chief planet is the sun, in the spiritual world, the chief planet is Krishna Lok. From Krishna Lok, the bodily effulgence of Lord Krishna is distributed not only to the spiritual world, but to the material world as well. It is covered by matter. However, in the material world, in the spiritual world, there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and on each one, the Lord is the predominating deity. A devotee can be promoted to one such Vaikuntha planet to live with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Srila Prabhupada is explaining Sashti, Sarupya. Sashti is, getting the same opulence as the Lord. Sarupya, liberation. The bodily features of the devotee are exactly like those of the Supreme Lord. And a pure devotee does not accept these five kinds of spiritual existence, even if they are offered, and he certainly does not hanker after material benefits. So this is the essence. Hare Krishna. And I will quickly cover the next verse, which is complete contrast. So Lord Kapil Dev is revealing how in the cycle of birth and death, how a living entity gets a birth. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Karmana Deva Netrena Jantur Deho Papatyate Taye Jantur Deho Papattaye Striyaha Pravishta Udaram Pumso Retah Kanashrayaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The personality of God had said, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord and according to the result of his work, the living entity, the soul, is made to enter into the womb of a woman through the particle of male semen to assume a particular type of body. Hare Krishna. Please join us in seeking blessings from Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas in Parampara. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshitarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadaham Vande Shri Gurum Dina Taranam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So these two verses, while they appear to be in contrast, we saw Srila Prabhupada, and the purport is revealing that the devotee is not hankering for any kind of liberation. And birth after birth, in the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Shisha Ashtaka, the devotee is constantly looking to serve the Lord. So liberation is not about escaping birth and death. First of all, we should understand this. It is about loving service even in birth and death. So the real question is, are we looking for freedom from God or freedom in God? Right? We are not of this world, we are in this world. So we actually belong to Krishna. So we are looking to constantly engage in his devotional service. Now, in the translation, we saw, and sometimes the message is lost in translation. And Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur actually identifies the importance of the fourth line. Vina mat sevanam janaha. So if these liberations do not have any opportunity for devotional service, a devotee is not interested. So it is that particular aspect. If there is devotional service engaged in any of those liberations, then the devotee is more than eager, because the focus is devotional service, not liberation. So that is the essence of this first verse. And while the second verse, Kapil Dev is saying, because of one's past karmas, one is taking birth in the womb of a mother, and Deva Netrena, under the supervision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So under the higher authorities, it is happening. Because Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Devi Yesha Gurumai Mam Maya Duratyaya. Mame viye prapadyante, maya me tam tarantite. So this material energy is very difficult to overcome. But those who surrender unto me can easily cross over it. And tomorrow is 4th of July. In US, everyone is celebrating, freedom. And we should ask ourselves, what is true freedom? Right? So we have to understand things with proper perspective. And we can look at it from a meditative exercise. Close your eyes and ask yourself, if I were offered a life like free of suffering, free of responsibility, but also free of service to Krishna, would I take it? That's the question. If I'm giving a life, by my little good fortune, then would I take such a life? Breathe deeply, meditate on that thought, and ask yourself, would you accept liberation without love? Or prefer bondage with bhakti? In US, there is a term gold digger, right? Sometimes people are marrying some rich person so that they can get the riches. But all their life, they are actually hankering for love. So they end up going through multiple relationships and spoiling their life in the process. And no one is happy. The person who's rich person who marries them, and they who married the rich person and doing all kind of nonsense. So they are both unhappy because that's not where the true happiness lies. Happiness is within us, and we are all seeking that loving relationship. So when we look at, people are thinking from the perspective, hey, first need of every living entity is to get some food, nice food stuff to eat. Second is to get nice clothes to wear. Third is to have a house. And actually having a house is not the true need. The true need is having a home. The bricks and mortar and wood, they don't really create a home. It is the loving relationship among the residents that really creates a home. So we have to understand from that perspective, what are we looking for in life? And today I'm using the acronym FREE. So this is not free, it is the true freedom that we all seek. Not so we'll have one negative aspect followed by a positive aspect. F is here representing false freedom, what people are generally looking freedom to be. And as per Srimadbhagavatam, even liberation without bhakti is still a bondage. So we are bound that we cannot serve Krishna. That's a bondage. Not being able to serve Krishna is the greatest bondage. It's worse than hellish condition, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport. So what is that we are looking for? That's where comes our real relationship. We are looking for, loving service, not impersonal release. So that's what we are looking for, an engagement. We are active by nature. Now, the first E is the negative aspect where we can say we are looking for this relationship, but in this material world, what are we doing? We are carrying out various activities, and that causes entrapment of karma. So we are reborn due to the karma cycle and forgetfulness of Krishna. So we've forgotten the Supreme Lord. We have forgotten about sweet relationship that we have with Him. So we have to rekindle this relationship with the Supreme Lord. And what is the way to rekindle this? Seek our eternal engagement. Jivera Surupaya Krishna Nityadas. That we living entities are eternal servant of Lord Krishna. So that's real freedom, which is in the eternal devotional service unto Shishi Radha Krishna. And in this way, we can try to focus on each of those aspects. So liberation without devotion is just a golden cage. And sometimes people think that getting liberation is freedom, but no, it's false freedom. It's like Falgu freedom. It's a Falgu liberation. It's covered with so many other aspects. So many crave moksha, liberation, thinking that it means absolute independence. But a real devotee, you know, would basically reflect on it and says, what's the use of this liberation if it comes with separation from Krishna? If I can't serve Krishna, what's the use of this liberation? Freedom from the material world is not the goal. Freedom in Krishna's services. So freedom to be able to serve Krishna with love, with devotion, for Krishna's pleasure. That is true freedom. It's not, sometimes people think, oh, we are free, so we can eat whatever we want, we can act the way we want. That's not true freedom. That's actually you're acting under the senses, control of senses. Remember, this is the modes of material nature. Senses are part of the modes of material nature. So in this chapter, Devahuti, she's asking Kapil Dev, her son, please explain to me devotional service. And Kapil Dev, he is explaining devotional service in mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness. And then he is talking about these 5 kinds of liberation. So we have to look in the right perspective what true liberation is, what true freedom is. And my Guru Maharaj, he would say that devotional service is not just a path out of the world, it is the path to the Lord's heart. So again, every young boy is trying to find out what is the path to a young girl that he wants to impress upon and marry. What's the path to her heart? What attracts her? And the same thing, a young girl may be looking for a nice groom, a nice husband, and so she wants to know what the path to groom's heart is. Is it the good looks or is it high achievements? Well, we all know, in Vedic culture, especially in Eastern culture, it is known the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So, ladies, they know it very well. And sometimes you look at that perspective and try to engage in activities. So, that is also service in a way. But this is still on a material level if we are just trying to please a person to get what we want. Rather, devotional service or true love is to give without any expectation. And that's what devotees are engaged in. Even in family relationship, they're serving each other with the mood of giving, not expecting. So we have to look from that perspective that devotees, they don't want liberation, they want dedication, they want devotion. And we are not a spiritual tourist trying to escape. We are servants ready to love. We are eager to love and have that loving relationship with every other living entity, understanding that Lord is the best friend of every living entity. Then we can be Samadarshina. And freedom is not the absence of bondage, but the presence of divine purpose. So we have to look at the divine purpose. What's the purpose of our life? Dharma sunishtitapam san vishvakshena katha suyana utpadyate yadiratim shrameva hi kevalam. So all kind of occupational duties a man performs, if it does not invoke attraction towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Na utpadyate yadiratim. Utpadan is, developing. And what? Rati, attraction towards the Supreme Lord, that is Shram eva hi kevalam, that is just useless labor. Shram is work, eva, only, kevalam, that's the only thing that is there. Means again, there is no purpose to such activities. Now, we devotees, sometimes we talk about things and sometimes amazing realizations happen. And when we go out, it's very interesting. When we go to India, the first thing we do is try to go to temple, engage our days with chanting of the holy name. We do reading of Srila Prabhupada's books. We go to the temple and engage in, aarti and various activities at the temple in the mood of service. So in this regard, sometimes people talk about things like if a yogi, bhogi and a devotee, bhakta, were to go into a forest together to do what they want to see, a yogi will say, you know what, I'm an impersonalist, so I'm a Brahmanwadi, and I'm meditating to merge with Brahman. The bhogi would say, well, I came to find the best mangoes. I came to know that this forest has great, very nice, sumptuous, tasty mangoes. And the devotee, well, the devotee continues to do the same activities. So he goes to the forest, plants a tulsi, and sings kirtan. So freedom isn't escaping the world, it is engaging it with Krishna at the center. So all our activities are to focus on Krishna in the center. We are not the focus. Like the yogi is basically thinking, I'll merge into Brahman and I'll become Brahman, I'll become God. That's not the purpose. We by nature are servant of Krishna. So how can we become the master? That is not our very nature. That is against our nature. And that's why it's worse than, you know, a hellish condition, because we are active and suddenly somebody says we become inactive. That's like binding us. You know, that's not true freedom. And if somebody say, I want to eat mangoes, that's not true freedom, because you are thinking of enjoying. You are basically serving Maya in this way. Sometimes we talk about so many things, and as devotees, we are engaging, various situations. We're constantly thinking, and those who drive on the road, they know this, that to be able to not enter into an accident, you're not just causing, looking for your mistakes, you're looking for others' mistakes as well. Because if others are not careful, they may hit your car. So we have to be very, very careful. So similarly, when the devotees, means again, we talk about these kind of things sometimes with the devotees. If a devotee reaches Vaikuntha gate, right, and he meets Devashi Narad, say Narad asks him, do you want Salukya or Samipya? Do you want to be on the same planet as the Lord or very close to the Lord? Right? A devotee would simply say, actually, do you have a seva desk? So Narad would laugh. He'll say, most ask for perks and you are asking for work. So devotees, they find bliss not in perks, but in purpose. Understanding what is our true nature, and they follow that nature. Many times people, they come to the temple and they are looking for liberation. So a man, as I was conversing with him, he said, oh, how can I get liberation? I said, what liberation you are talking about? He's like, moksha, merging into Brahman and become God. Well, my response was, just serve Tulsi. And so he immediately asked, how many times do I have to serve? Well, our response is, until you forget you wanted moksha. Tulsi Maharani may bless you with Krishna Bhakti, and then you will understand what the true purpose of life is, what the true freedom really is. So Bhakti dissolves even the desire for liberation. That is the true essence of life, because it reveals higher purpose, higher taste. And sometimes people talk about role playing in different activities. And in this case, there could be a role play when somebody goes to Yamaraj and Yamaraj will say, you know what? You become a reader at the library and I'll be the librarian. And as a librarian, I ask you, right, have you seen our ad? Get Salukya in 6 months or your karma back. Face the reaction of your karma. Well, in this case, a devotee will completely ignore it. And he would join the bhakti retreat instead. He would just say, I'm not looking for either of these things. I'm looking for Krishna bhakti. So real bhaktas, they are devotees, they aren't consumers of liberation. They are contribution of love. So that is the true essence. They understand what the purpose of life is, to serve Krishna. Right? So sometimes, with this freedom talks that's going on, everyone is talking. One person will say, I want freedom. So even, at Yamlok, Yamraj could ask him, from what? Well, the soul would say, from rebirth. I don't want to be born again. So then he could very well ask, have you tried freedom from the false ego first? Because what he's hinting is the Mahajana. He's saying that the inner shackles are harder than the outer ones. We're looking at birth, death, old age, disease, dukkha doshanudarshana. But a devotee will eagerly take birth if it gets him an opportunity to serve Krishna instead of being merging into the Brahman. So we have to understand the right way. So when we are looking at our life, We have to look at from the examples of the Mahajanas. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see how Prahlad Maharaj, he was offered all celestial comforts. But what did he say? I only want to serve you, my Lord. Not even liberation, if it comes without bhakti, is acceptable to me. So he is revealing this essence of, what's the purpose of life, what true freedom is. So we have to apply it and ask ourselves, do I pray to Krishna for escape or for deeper surrender? So that is the key aspect. This body is like a golden cage, but the soul in it is what we are, right? We are like when a driver sits in a car. So we are sitting, as a driver in this body. Ishwar sarva bhutanam hridadeshya junatistati. So again, we are sitting in the heart and we are wanting this material world. Yet at the same time, Brahman sarva bhutani yantra rudhani maya. And this, we are wandering in this Brahman, in this yantra, this machine, which is our body. So we have to understand that Lord is sitting in our heart and we have to engage and feel inspired to serve Him. So it is important, yes, to take care of the cage, to take care of the body, but with the purpose to understand that the body has been given to us with the service attitude that we should be engaging this body in service of Krishna for the pleasure of Krishna. So everything that we see around us that has come in our care is meant to be engaged in Lord Krishna's service. And what kind of, generating prompt, what kind of questions can we ask? We can look at it from our day-to-day life and we can say, hey, in what areas of my life am I seeking comfort instead of connection with Krishna? So we can start to see Shrama Eva Hi Kevalam. What are these activities? I should be aware of reducing them and increasing bhakti. Would I still want liberation if Krishna wasn't there? Like we talked about earlier. If you get all kind of things that you are looking for material benefit, but they are devoid of Krishna's presence, there is no presence of devotion, would you still accept such a life? And what would you gain with such a life? Because it is just useless labor. So we have to replace freedom from thoughts with freedom to serve prayers. So we have to realign ourselves to the purpose of this life and add this to the mantra to our daily affirmations as we are constantly meditating. Oh Lord, I don't want liberation. I want your loving devotional service, which is simply in the form of this prayer. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now we talked about false freedom, but we have to now come to the level of what is true freedom. True freedom is real relationship. Jivera Surupaya Krishna Nityadas. And the first verse is talking about that all kind of liberations, are derided. When a devotee doesn't want any of these 5 kinds of liberations, if they're devoid of Krishna Bhakti. So again, we would accept any of these liberations provided Krishna Bhakti is there. Devoid of Krishna Bhakti, we don't want anything. So that's also very important. Sometimes we see the news channel people, they say, oh, he's a sadhu, that means he should give up everything. No, he should engage everything in Krishna's service. Srila Prabhupada was shown a picture of a sannyasi, a sadhu, who was putting his hands at the back and he was on a big platter. He was, offered a lot of jewelry and fortune and money. He said, no, I've got nothing to do with this. And Srila Prabhupada said, bring that platter to me and I'll go like this because I will engage everything in Krishna's service. Because he is the true owner of everything that we see around us, including us. And so in this regard, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, he says that real liberation means to be always fixed at the lotus feet of Bhagwan, Lord Shri Krishna. So we have to understand this properly. Because one is only liberated when one is attached to Krishna so much that he is not attached to any other things. So it is the attachment, how we use something, with what purpose in mind, that why is the big deal? Why are we using this, right? Why, you know, we live in a house? Why do we have this relationship around us? To engage in Krishna's service. That should be the purpose. We have to dovetail everything around us, because where there is no enough freedom, there is no life. The very purpose of life loses its meaning because we have misunderstood the very purpose. And we have to reawaken our true consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness. We have to rekindle that fire in our heart. So what is our destiny? It is not in material world, but Krishna comes to change our destiny. Therefore, we have to surrender our free will for his pleasure. So we have to think everything is with the right perspective. But what kind of ethics should we have? We should be humble, we should be tolerant. We hear about this. We should be equally disposed towards all living entities. But how to be humble? Not to think of ourselves less, but to think less of ourselves. We should not think, oh, I am so fallen, I am so this. No, what can I do? Let me not waste my time. His Holiness Radhan Maharaj, he in his lecture was talking of a very important thing. Once a devotee, he chanted his mantra. He was saying, I'm going to be very cautious. And he said, oh, I did not chant that mantra very nicely. I was losing focus and my mind was distracted. He said, stop doing that. Just chant the mantra more focus, because you just missed the opportunity of chanting a good mantra. So instead of lamenting over the past or aspiring for the future, we should live in the present moment and try to make improvements. That's the purpose of life, right? So we have to realize our true relationship. That love is not about leaving the world, it is about belonging to the one beyond it and in it. So Lord is present everywhere. He is omnipresent. And so we have to engage every moment in his service, because every moment is present. It's a gift given to us. And are we taking proper advantage of this gift that we are receiving on every moment that we are living? Now, real relationships are not about transactions, right? It's about devotional connection. Sometimes we see, a person would try to be so manipulative of others, would say, oh, you want to marry me, then you have to do these things, Oh, you want to be my servant, then you should, serve me in this manner. That is not the right attitude. Actually, this person is his own worst enemy. So we have to understand. Sometimes when we say, mukti and bhakti, they both come to us. And the mukti could say, hey, you will never suffer again. There is no suffering. Well, that's level 0. We don't want to stay at level 0. When bhakti would say, even if you have to suffer forever, you would get the opportunity to serve Krishna. Even if you have to go through all kind of sufferings, but you will get, this is guaranteed that you will have an opportunity to serve Krishna. Then a devotee, a pure soul, will say, well, let me suffer for eternity as long as you are with me, to the bhakti, right? We want bhakti. That's important. Devotional service, loving devotional service for the pleasure of Krishna. So, real love means to serve without expectation and to care without condition. So, this is very important. Without any conditions, without any expectations, we have to be in the mood of serving, right? And when Krishna is in our heart, right, we are never alone. We are always protected, because even in the greatest trials, we know that we are on the right path. We are giving pleasure to Krishna. And we can look at the example of Parikshit Maharaj. He was cursed to die in 7 days. And he knew that he will die in 7 days. Yet at the same time, he completely absorbed himself in hearing about Krsna Katha, Srimadbhagavatam from Shukdev Goswami. And it was an active listening exercise. He was really interested in listening this, so he was asking questions, just like Vidura asked questions, right? And we'll be talking about that in tomorrow's class. So relationships are sacred only when they help us reach the supreme relationship. So again, all small relationships in our lives, they become valuable when we are dovetailing them to serve the supreme relationship, to establish that supreme relationship, our relationship with Krishna and everyone's relationship with Krishna. So Lord Krishna, and we will automatically love others in the purest way. So everyone else, we will be able to look from the right perspective. Now, what are some of the lessons that we can take on, right? So we talk about, bhaktas, we talk about bhogis, and we talk about yogis, right? So a man who has been working very hard could say, Krishna, you have given me darshan, please give me a palace. Krishna would say, what else? Oh, give me some diamonds too. It might help me to get some more diamonds. Krishna could ask him, what else? Like, wait a minute. I can also get Salokya liberation. Could I get that too? Means merge into you and become God? Well, Krishna in that case would smile and give him a tulsi leaf. So he's confused. He said, this isn't what I asked for. Krishna could reply by saying, but this is what I asked from you. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta prayachati. Tadam bhakti upritam ashnami prayatapana. So Lord Krishna is simply asking for patra pushpa phala toya. Patra is leaf, pushpa is flower, phala is fruits, and toyam, little water. That's all Lord is asking for. But we are trying to, ask so many things in return. A real relationship is about offering, not ordering. We are the ones who should be serving the Lord, not acting that He is our order supplier, but we should be supplying based on His desire. Sometimes it's very interesting that there is some conversations, they help us go to so interesting depth. Sometimes we ask people when they are coming and doing the japa rounds, this was a question that was raised. What's the goal of bhakti? So one person responded, oh, Krishna will protect me from exams, from executions, from expenses and bad things that are happening in life. Well, we can only take a long sigh. This is called expectations, not relationship. The goal of bhakti is to rekindle our relationship with Krishna when we are chanting to the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We are asking for devotional service. Oh, Shri Radha Krishna, please engage me in your loving devotional service for your pleasure. And that would automatically, Rishikena, Sevanam Bhakti Uchate. That will automatically give us pleasures, but we understand that, but that's not the focus. Our pleasure is not the focus. Krishna's pleasure is the focus. Right? Now, with all this AI ML talk going on, and so many people are thinking, oh, I might get a robot and I'll just marry this robot, and this robot will cook, will clean, and will obey all my commands. That would be bliss, right? That would be another form of liberation. But then he saw a devotee's wife, he sees a devotee's wife and says, oh, she forgets dinner and still sings, engages in devotional service. So he forgets about all the eating, all the sleeping, all those hunger and all that stuff. He forgot about having his dinner and was able to join and sing Kirtan joyfully, because that's where the true pleasure is. So we have to look at life from the proper perspective, right? Srila Prabhupada once, he was asking, it's very interesting that sometimes in India, when he took his Western devotees, there is a tendency, to challenge the authority at times, or even others. This is like envy and lust. These are the two things that are in the heart. So sometimes they come out. So man said, oh, you know so much, Swamiji, do your devotees know? Well, Srila Prabhupada said, oh, yes, they know. And then he asked Yamuna Mataji to sing Brahma Samhita verses. And she only knew 5 verses. So she started singing first verse, then came to the second verse, then came to the third verse. With the fourth verse, her heart was palpitating. She was like, in fear. I only know one more verse. And when she finished the 5th verse, Srila Prabhupada said, stop, that's perfect. She was so relieved. And then this gentleman, he was impressed, but he says, but their, pronunciation is short. Pronunciation is bad. That's what he meant. Srila Prabhupada said, yes, the pronunciation may be short, but the renunciation is perfect. That is what he was looking for. He's not looking for achievements or to be a Vedic scholar or Sanskrit scholar. He was looking for devotees who are ready to surrender in their life for the pleasure of Krishna. And the mercy of Krishna flows to his devotees. So all the mercy his disciples and the devotees were getting was because Krishna's mercy was flowing through Srila Prabhupada to all these devotees. And so they were getting more and more surrendered in their service, more and more caring and loving and attentive in their service. With intelligence, that's also very important. Sometimes devotee may meditate to dissolve the false ego. And then he may get a vision. Oh, congratulations. You are now one with the universe. Oh, that's the fearful state. That would make a devotee panic. Wait, I wanted a hug, not dissolution. So I wanted to have an embrace. I wanted to have a loving relationship. I want to serve. So even the soul, seeks relationship, not merging into Brahman. So we have to again and again understand these aspects. Sometimes, people even ask, why would, you know, if you are such good devotees of Krishna, then why are you suffering? Why doesn't Krishna liberate you from your suffering? We have to understand that we are not asking freedom from suffering. We are asking for Krishna. We are asking for his pleasure. That is the goal. And that is why even Parikshit Maharaj is engaged in loving devotional service. That is why Devahuti was very disturbed. Then my husband has gone to the forest. My son is here. I do not know what will happen to my life. What is the goal of life? I'm being a woman. I do not have proper understanding. She was asking her son, right, to reveal this. And here Kapil Dev, he is Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, is revealing to his mother how to live a life so that we can engage in devotional service. So we can look at our life and we can say, look at the example of gopis of Vrindavan. They didn't want salvation. They didn't want status. They didn't want any liberation, not even salokya. They only wanted to dance with Krishna, even if Krishna again disappears. So, okay, they were just looking for Krishna, and that's what the mood, even the six Goswamis in Vrindavan, they never went around saying, oh, here is Krishna, here is Radha, we have found them. No, they were always calling out, where is Krishna? Oh, Radhe, where are you? Oh, Vraj Gopis, where are you? They were constantly wandering in that mood of separation, Vipralamba Bhav. That is the highest form of emotion, right? So, what we can apply in true life, that in our relationships with family, with friends, at work, do we bring Krishna in? Is Krishna in the center? Or do we keep him out while chasing satisfaction, while chasing different kind of liberations? So we have to look at it from that perspective. Introspection is very important in life for us to advance spiritually. Am I approaching Krishna for benefits or for belonging? Those are the questions we should be asking. Do I desire Krishna or just what he gives? Krishna, Lord is providing us so many wonderful things in life, but they are to be used in his service, not for our pleasure, but for his pleasure. So we can begin each prayer with Krishna, I don't need anything but you. So this is interesting because when people go to temple, they ask for different things. Somebody is saying, oh, my dear Krishna, please get a nice groom for my daughter. Someone is saying, oh, Krishna, please give me promotion. Someone is saying, oh, Krishna, make me president. Someone is saying, oh, Krishna, make me wealthy. Well, devotee is saying, oh, my dear Krishna, please give me devotional service so that I can serve you. And Krishna is smiling to all of them, but especially to the devotees, thinking, oh, everyone is asking from me, but he's asking me. The devotee is asking me. He wants to own me. That is what Krishna's smile is reflecting to a devotee. So we can ask ourselves, how did I serve Krishna today? Without asking anything in return. That important part is the second part. How am I serving Krishna without asking anything, without having any expectations, without treating him as my order supplier? We have to establish rituals like writing letters to Krishna or reciting Shiksha Ashtakam as heart offerings. So during Christmas time, everyone's writing letter to Santa. Coming Janmashtami, how many of you are going to write letter to Krishna? That how you want to serve Krishna? That is something we should be asking, right? So there is an entrapment of karma. Again, one of the first E's of free. So karma is like an invisible script, right? You act on it until divine grace helps you improvise. That is what is going on. Sometimes reversal in life makes us realize what the purpose of life is, right? And if we continue to do things as we had been doing, we are going to get what we had been getting, right? That's the uh, nature of this world. What goes around comes around. Even Einstein, he was actually a spiritualist. He said the definition of insanity is continuing to do what you did, but expecting different results. We have to change ourselves first. The change must come from within. We have to first improve our acts in the right attitude, with the right purpose in mind, right? Even saints are not immune to karma, right? They have to act. So when you create a pattern that repeats your story birth after birth, so you keep coming back in this cycle. So here we have to look at things with the right perspective. Even the saints, they have to surrender. And that surrender brings the transformation. That mood of service brings the transformation in one's life. Now, while karma is binding, Krishna is liberating. Devotion to Krishna is ultimately liberating. And only those who surrender will break free. That is the boon of devotional service. Sometimes we look at different analogies and we look at this life. It's like a flowing river. Time is like a flowing river. And karma is the current. It's just pushing us through this river. We are just doing things as they're coming. And we sometimes saying, this is, I just have to act. Otherwise, if I stop acting, then what will happen? Everything will fall apart. So we are in this current, just flowing with this river. And Krishna is the bridge. All we have to do is get onto the bridge and we can just quickly escape through it. So by engaging in devotional acts, we can change our destiny one step at a time. Don't try to change everything, but say, what am I going to do today to please Krishna? When you go out to market, say, what am I going to get Krishna from the market today? That's completely for his pleasure, right? Sometimes it's very interesting that when we meet, newcomers to the temple or new people we meet on the road, uh, they hear about Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Sometimes after the class, one person said, "Oh, I did so much karma. I'll have to come here again and repeat the cycle forever." Well, yeah, maybe, unless you take to devotional service. That's our response. So they say, devotional service? You mean bhakti? Is that optional? Like, do I have to do it? Like, can it just be optional? Well, we have to understand this in the proper way, that it is the express route out. It is the HOV lane. It's the fast lane through which you can completely get out of this cycle of birth and death. So karma creates the journey, but bhakti gives the shortcut. It actually is the way out. Sometimes people talk about, the road less traveled. Well, yeah, the tall roads are less traveled because no one is ready to pay the price of chanting minimum 16 rounds and following 4 regulatory principles. That's what life is all about. Once you take to chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Minimum 16 rounds every day under the shelter and direction of a bona fide spiritual master and follow the 4 regulatory principles. You can't get onto this toll road, the fast lane. And once you're on the fast lane, yes, it is less travel, but you're on an express route back home, back to Godhead. Yes. So in our life, we are seeing so many, reversals happening, right? And sometimes we are looking at our life and all the activities that we were looking at things. And karma means again in this river of life could very well ask us, are you ready for Act Two? This is a new day. You're going to continue to do those same activities. We have to ask ourselves, and our response should be only if Krishna is in the cast, only if I have an opportunity to serve. So we can't rewrite karma alone, right? We need divine co-authoring. We need Krishna's, interference, Krishna's direction in how we are going to lead our day-to-day life. How every act should be an offering to Krishna. Somebody could say, in my past life, I was a king and I had power, I had riches. But now, I have become a devotee and act as a humble gardener. Well, in reality, such a person who has become a devotee feels like he is more blessed now than he was before, because now he has every opportunity to water Tulsi Devi and serve Tulsi and the flower plants so that the flower offerings can be made to the deity on a daily basis. So that's a great benefit, right? So even if karma gives us a lesser position, Krishna's presence makes it priceless. It is not the position, it is the understanding our true purpose in life. That is what is important. Sometimes we see many people who have from very rich backgrounds, CEOs, CIOs, they come to the temple, right? And they are burnt out from this ambition of driving their company to new heights, right? But all they have to do is they have to turn inward and they have to take to the chanting of the holy name and they engage in devotional service. Sometimes we have seen in short duration of time, they have much more stable life, they are much more calmer, and their karmas have stabilized. So from that perspective, things seem to fall in perspective. So, what should we look for? The last E on free is eternal engagement. That's what we should be looking for. Eternal life means eternal service. Sometimes people say, "Oh, you have been working. We have been working all week long. Weekends come. We should take rest." No, in the life of a devotee, there is no. Uh, Actually, there is no need for resting because the very devotional life is a retreat on its own, right? So there is no retirement from devotion. Do you ever ask yourself, well, the body has been breathing for so many years, for so many decades. Maybe the body is tired. Let it stop for a few hours or a few days, stop breathing. What would happen? Again, we have to ask these questions. This is our nature. The living entity is eternal servant, not temporary servant, and not, having those weekends and weekdays plans. So this is our very nature. We can only be happy when we are properly in that nature. We are carrying out activities in that nature. Our heart has been beating for so many decades. Do we say, oh, heart, you must be feeling very tired. Just stop. You know, take a few hours rest. No, that would scare people, right? So we have to think with proper perspective because the mood of heart is to beat and pump the blood. And the blood is flowing through the veins. And people could say, wait a minute, for so many decades, the blood had been flowing through the body? That must be very tiring to the veins and the arteries. They should have rest. Blood you should stop flowing. No, that a person would die. We never feel tired of all these things. Why should we feel tired in this way? So eternal engagement is our true purpose. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we wanted to understand what true freedom is. And I would like to now pass it on to Devi to further, uh, you know, share her salient points. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I was raising hand to indicate in case you forgot to check the time, but you just wrapped up on time. That's awesome. So we have been reading actually in Srimad Bhagavatam, past few months we covered Canto 3 and now in Canto 4 also. There is wonderful talk being instructions being presented by Sanat Kumar to King Prithu.
Yes.
And gist of it is all comes down that, like you mentioned, the mood of service brings transformation in life, and only those who surrender will break free. So, we have been reading a lot about liberations, that it's being sought by yogis, jnanis through great efforts. But the pure devotees who are absorbed in loving service to Krishna without that desire for any reward, what to talk about liberation? Such pure devotees transcend the bondage of birth and death effortlessly. And we have so many examples. We have Parikshit Maharaj, we have Shukdev Goswami, we have Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, right? So Srimad Bhagavatam identifies so nicely that a devotee is untouched by karma or liberation, for they live only to please the Lord, which you also, with so many wonderful examples, you helped everyone understand. And so now we see the next verse speaks about how those attached to sense gratification are bound again to the womb, while devotees detached from such illusion, they walk the path of eternal freedom through bhakti. So it's very, very clear to everyone that real freedom is not escape, but it is surrender, where even mukti becomes a maid servant of devotion. I don't think I have to elaborate on anything. You have wonderfully covered the salient uh, points, salient features. I think we can now wrap up this call and uh, move forward to next gem next time.
Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavapada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari.
Hari Bol.
Have a wonderful week in Krishna consciousness. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.
That's it.